Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the Screenwriting Step-by-Step Project, episode 130. My name is Glenn Gers, and every afternoon, Monday through Friday, if I can make it, I come to you at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to let you look over my shoulder, share my screen while I write a script in order to teach the process of scriptwriting. I do not want to show you the best screenwriting process. I do not want to show you the only screenwriting process. This is just a way to do it to get you to think about process. That's really what I want you to learn. How to figure out your own best way to get through the day-to-day, line-to-line, scene-to-scene trudge of screenwriting, because that is the big part of screenwriting that nobody teaches. We all learn about how to write a great, perfect script, but not how to get between, oh, I want to write a script, and there. It's a long process. You go through lots of drafts, you go through outlines, you go through getting stuck and having to go back and change things. That's what I want to show you by letting you watch me do it. See that it's really not that different from what you're going to do. It's all the same trudge, from sentences to dialogue to scenes. That's the game. And so what I do is I come here hello, Larry. Hello, Maria. I come here live to show you what I'm doing. And hello, Natasha. We are now in the rewrite. I have written a rough draft. The rough draft is a mess. There was an outline before that, but still you got to go back after you finish the rough draft and start to rethink every scene as to how it's working and how it's not. The parts that's working, you want to hold on to those. You don't want to throw those away. One of the biggest problems with everyone who starts out writing is that you don't know how to hold on to the good stuff when you rewrite. You just sort of rewrite everything. You just keep starting from scratch. The whole point about rewriting is you look at what you've got and you find those pieces of it that are working. You get rid of the stuff around it, you rethink it, you question it, but you say, oh, look, this section works. That couple of lines, that one bit of dialogue, that one bit of description that is introducing a character and telling you something about what the story is, whatever it is that works, you hold on to that. That is magic. Okay. So we got a bunch of people here. Hello, Natasha. Hello, Andrea. Hello, Dialectics Junkie. How do you manage to write live without freezing up? I can't even have my girlfriend look over my shoulder while I'm doing it without cringing intensely in embarrassment. That is a fair question. That is a good question. And I will tell you, one reason is I have been doing this for close to 50 years. Okay, I wrote my first novel, it was 28 pages long, when I was 11 years old. I have been trying to teach myself how to write and trying to write with great difficulty for decades. And I do it every day. So this part of it, the one thing I'm trying to show you here is the one thing I'm just very used to. It's like if I try and talk about, like, if I was a tennis player, just hitting the ball over the net, I'm used to that. I feel confident of that in a way that most people would not. So yeah, that helps. The other thing is, I genuinely think it is interesting. Like, I'm not interesting. I don't try not to look at myself. I try not to watch my old videos, but the actual thing itself, the writing thing, I find fascinating. And one of the reasons that I teach is because while I was trying to figure it out for myself over all those decades, I would make notes to myself. I'd say, like, when I did something right, I would go like, oh, wow, like, that's how I figured out this scene. And I would actually write down a little description of it to myself. And that became the basis of the things that I'm now teaching you. So when that happened, like when I write a good scene, I actually sort of wish I could turn around to somebody and go, Did you see that? Look at that. Look at how those two lines came together and led to that third line. I find that so cool that I am willing to do this. I do freeze up now and then. Mostly I freeze up, and when I do, you'll see it. I will simply decide to change the subject. That's how I handle that. There will come times when I'll be like, you know what? I can't figure this out now. I can't figure it out while I'm talking to you, but also I'm used to the process of not quite knowing what I am doing and saying, if I put it in a format of a question or a problem or a scene that I know, that I recognize, later I can come back to it. So that part of it, it's actually just genuinely, there are very few, I could not do this with almost anything else, but with writing, because I have done so much of it, I really, really like to share it. And this is fun. And the fact that everyone's having a good time really helps. Honestly, it does help a lot that you guys are actually interested. However, the cringe part, when I started doing these videos and I had to, not only do I have to perform in front of the camera and, look at it, I have to edit those videos. I mean, at least with the live streams, I don't look back. With the videos, I have to I do like 3 or 4 takes of each section, little cut, couple of lines. And then I have to put them all together into Final Cut. And then I go through them and I choose the one I like and I stick them together. It's not brilliant editing, but it does mean that I have to sit there and watch myself for hours. And that would be complete hell, except for this one thing. I just don't pay any attention to me. I just listen for whether the information, whether the story is being told. And if so, that guy, I'm just going to live with him. Just not going to worry about it. But thank you for asking. It's a weird thing that I can do that, because most writers I know, like all my professional writer friends, they're like, I can't believe you are doing this. Hello, Maritolatoso. What is good Thursday, you'd ask? I don't think I want to know if it's a Jerry Springer video. What a wonderful life indeed. Man, I wish I could pour myself a margarita like Javier. He's always just the most relaxed watcher in the bunch. I wrote my first awful draft of a scene today. I keep trying to go back, but you said keep going. I did say keep going, and I'm going to keep saying it. Keep going. You don't want to try and fix it now. As you have seen with me, I wrote 90 pages of junk. I mean, there's gems in there, and only because I have the experience of knowing the junk from the gems, I can say, oh, that's going to be okay. I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to trim away the junk, and there's a piece there. You will get good at that if you keep doing it. But if you keep going back and polishing that one piece, that's not what writing is. Writing is doing the whole thing and fixing the whole thing bit by bit over time. That is exactly right. Don't stop. Keep going. Trust your instincts. Use the force. Put your visor down. Hello, this is Kitschy. It's so awful. No, one of the greatest things I have learned is the absolute pleasure of saying, yeah, that's a piece of junk. Doesn't matter. I did my work for the day. I'm good. I'm allowed to take it easy, to kick back with Javier, and then tomorrow I will look back at it, but not right away. Keep going. Yes. I know. It'll get there. It's a marathon. It is not, we're not racing to any number. We are just enjoying the ride. And hello to you too, Gerardo. Thank you. Yes. Keep going. All right. Speaking of which, let's keep going, because especially for the people who are watching this who actually want to watch me write, the ones who are watching this video later, they're going to be like, really? Seriously? You're doing all that stuff? Okay, let's get into this because this is interesting. As I go over it, it's such an interesting process. This is dialectical. This is why I find it fascinating that this is what's happening is as I go over and tinker with it, and sometimes I'll just fix a little piece here and there, like, we just organize it. It's part of what's happening is it's sinking into my head. It's becoming this thing that I can, like a wireframe in a computer. Like I can look at this scene in different dimensions in my head because I've worked through it several times now, and I'm going to keep doing it until I have it, until the words represent a thing that is happening, because that's what's important. Words don't matter. The actions, the characters being alive in their moment and talking to each other. So what I've noticed about this scene here, I'm beginning to get into some good parts. So when I was reading through it, the biggest problem I'm having now is just that this scene is a high wire act of a lot of people talking at once. And truthfully, most of them are not talking authentically from their own voice. They are simply talking information or ideas that I, the author, needed to get in there, especially all the group people. But I need to make this into a scene where the people in this dialogue are engaging, and the thing is, more than half of them are on Zoom, and that's a real toughie. So I keep putting that off. I say, I know I have not solved that yet. I have not fixed it. When you read this, you don't get that feeling of these people all calling in and stuff. I'm going to have to figure out how to write it in such a way that we see Xena, Norman, and Madeline in this room, but the other 3 or 4 on the Zoom and Deacons in another place. That's a lot to conceive of and to make it into a scene. And the truth is, I have to realize that for a good portion of it, I'm going to have to shut the Zoom off. I'm going to have to simplify this scene to make it work. And I've just figured out that that's a big problem with what's happening here. I haven't entirely figured out the solution. What's going to have to, what I thought just right before I came on, they're in George's house, and we've established that George has a great big sound system and, in theory, a nice big TV. And I think I want to figure out some way that we can get Xena to be zooming through the TV, like to screen share with the TV so that the Zoom people are kind of on a conference call in the room. That's my new thought. And in fact, I'm going to put that in the outline so that I don't forget it. Okay. Somehow we need to figure out a way that Xena puts the zoom on George's big TV. Screen sharing. They are in the scene. Okay, I'm going to boom. All right, let's put this. It's a question because I don't yet know how. And I'm going to make it kind of big, and I'm going to center it so that it's like, all right, somehow we need to figure out this annoying writer thing, but somehow we need to figure out, well, yeah, somehow. I don't need the word somehow there. Okay. So let me just go, okay, so, hi, Irite. What would you say is the most irritating thing about working with the studios or as a professional screener? I will get to that later because I do want to actually get some screenwriting done. But let me go back to, I'm making a note with a pen because there's only so much irritating. Okay. Yes, indeed. It is a dialectical. Is it a dialectical? That's not really a dialectical process. That's more of a dimensional process. Dialectical would be if I was arguing with myself about it, which I will do. Okay. Yes, this is we are at the very beginning of finding a language to conceive of the way we communicate now. The cool on screens. The cool thing is it's on screen, so that's got to be workable. And I have to say, I'm very proud of the movie I did for Blumhouse. That's unfortunately only on Cinemax now, so it's only kind of hard to find. I may put a link to it on my site, which would be only semi-legal, but I may do it anyway. Haven't decided yet. But it's called Like, Share, Follow. And one of the things I'm very proud of, because it was like almost 5 years ago now, the way I did the graphics of people texting and telephoning and stuff like that on the screen was at the time cool. I was on the same crest of a wave of a lot of other people. That's getting good, but at the time it was actually fairly new and cool the way I did it, and I'm proud of that. Okay. I could, except what I'm trying to do is actually get them in there. What Maria asked is, could I put voiceover, into the dialogue of these people who are not there? But the thing what's tricky about this is I don't want to just have them on the Zoom screen, and I definitely don't want to just have them as voiceover. I actually want to cut from this room to the rooms that they are in, because that's a way of suggesting the reality of this experience of people live communicating. So what I'm probably going to do is break out a bunch of these lines of the Zoom people. And what that means is that they're going to be throwing in stuff, but not a lot of fast back and forth. This is very technical, but that is a lot of what writing is just figuring out technical problems. Indeed, parallel action sequence. Unfriended. Not only I have not looked at I've not read the script of Unfriended. Unfriended to a certain extent didn't even have a script. It had what they call a scriptment, in the sense that they were basically planning for improv to a certain extent, I believe, with that. But I was working on Like, Share, Follow while Blumhouse was editing Unfriended, so I actually saw it in the works. All right, let me see. Somehow Palpatine has returned. Indeed, yes. Somehow, and don't get me started. Don't get me started. Okay. I don't think so, because he's dead. But we do have Xena breaking in earlier and saying that she's. The truth is, I don't think that people spend a lot of time saying like, well, she wouldn't have the right connection to that TV set. They accept the idea that we can screen share, and people go with that. All right. Yes, I think that is going to be. Okay, indeed. So that is down the line. I know that is the solution I'm going to get to. But right now, I don't want to spend my time. The main thing I'm trying to get here is, and this scene is actually, this part of the scene is in pretty good shape. What they're saying here, like these lines, for instance, they're excellent. This is working, and this is, you might say like, what do you mean they're excellent? It's not that they're okay, but no, they're excellent because Norman here is stating something extremely clearly and well. We have evidence that might have to please catch a serial killer. That's actually a good line. Just as that's a sayable line. Like he's saying to them, here's the problem. We have this evidence of this thing that police might help catch a serial killer. Madeline says, retired serial killer. What she's doing is she's actually making an argument that he's a human being, that he deserves some empathy, that she believes he's innocent, then here's the thing. I gave this line to Shrimpton because I was trying to keep everybody awake and alive in there. But I don't think that's a Shrimpton line. I think that's Norman. See, now this would not... McLean is smart. This is Xena. See, because what happened was I was just trying to get these lines, these thoughts in there. But often I assigned them to someone just almost randomly, just like I wanted people to. And now what I'm trying to do is just remember the emotional flow of these people in this room. See, because Xena is trying to keep Norman from bringing the police into it, because that's going to spoil her plan to be the one who solves the crime. What do you even mean? I mean, did he really say? Did he really give anything away? The call is evidence. And he confessed. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me just check the... George is zooming in his left, and you grab a cable plug and left it. Yes, that is true. He could do that. I don't want him to do that because we've got wireless technology in this world, and mainly it does not matter if the recipe for the cake that they're making in the scene is accurately being done in the right order. People are just going to say, "Oh, make a cake." The audience is not going to worry about finding the HDMI port. It is absolutely true, and if that was important to the scene, the struggle to find the port, that would be something. But you have to remember what the scene's about. I'm just trying to get them up on the screen, and we all know that we can... that, you know, if you wanted, you know, if there's like a little sidebar and you want to have me, you know, like an explanation for people who want to click on it in the movie, you know, Xena has been to George's before. She probably has his Wi-Fi, which means, and she probably, if they've got Apple devices, she could just screen share right there. There's so many ways that you can screen share. So I'm going to assume that Xena has been there before, or Xena is just good enough technologically that she figures out the screen share quickly. The important thing is to get the screen share going, not to... that's like saying, what streets did you drive on to get to the next location? And the only reason I'm talking about this, Larry, is because, yes, that is all true, but one of the biggest things that I think amateur writers don't remember is proportion. Is you only have a limited attention span when you're watching a scene. Watch yourself watch good scenes. Watch something you love, and look at how legitimately little there is in those scenes as far as the possible explanations and information that could be going into them. You'll be amazed, even if you watch carefully, how people jump across the room when they're going to leave. They cut it that way. There's no end to the amount of streamlining that screen storytelling does that we're not even conscious of. But the writer and director, it's very, very important that you learn to get used to the concept of driving hard on the important emotional and dramatic thing, and the rest of it will fall away. We do not care whether or not they put on the right socks. Okay. Yes, I would, except for one problem. Actually, I'm a really big fan when there's a lot of people in the room. I love just cutting from face to face. No, the whole point, the problem here is that 4 or 5 of those people are not in the room. Okay. Um, I'm not sure. Xena, Xena can't be whipsawing so much here. So this is not going to be. This area is not yet okay. We don't know who he is or where he is. But we don't know who he is or where he is. We can figure that out. We can figure that out. All right. So what I like about this scene is once they get on the idea that the call is something that can be web sleuthed. Also, see, I've got 96 pages. I got to start to look for cuts, but let's see. So, okay. The certain parts of things, like I know I'm going to get to like this set of exchange. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. And then we should. This actually is what's cool. Dondosky has a specific vengeful Old Testament justice voice, and that's good. McLean being the smart one, and he knows that. I think I'm actually going to intercut this even more. Right now, I'm just trying to get the scene and to see like which parts of this are working and which parts are not. And the reason that I broke this up, this is just not right. I'm trying to make sure that I can't, when I read through this, I can't mistake this for something okay. That sometimes what I just do is like I make sure that when I'm reading it, I hit a patch where it's like, okay, fix that. That's not all right. You can't leave that way. All right. Yes, there is such a thing as a flash forward. They can be used to brilliant effect. Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think of good flash forwards, but almost all of them are spoilers, so I don't want to give away too much. But there are some movies that use flash forwards in interesting ways. Yes. Yeah, Natasha, yeah. The answer is there are flash forwards, and they can be amazing, and they will operate just exactly like a flashback does. You just like cut to it in some distinctive way that makes us know we're not in the same time and place, or not in the same time or place. And the point about a flash forward is, sometimes you know it is a flash forward, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't know what it is. And one of the things about flash forwards or flashbacks, they tend to be broken into small pieces and sort of unveiled as it goes along. Yes, it is similar to a phone call scene. And the problem, yeah, it's a minor problem. I gotta tell you guys, the Zoom thing is not that big a problem. I was just telling you, I think I figured out the answer to the problem. That's not a problem. The problem is the scene, the emotional center of the scene getting either going too fast in some of these places or just being given to the wrong people. Yes, Michael Clayton starts with the flash forwards, and that's not too bad a spoiler, so I'm cool with that. Yeah, flash forward opening, almost, it doesn't feel like a flash forward. There are actually, and sometimes flash forwards. Like I said, I'm trying not to mention one or two just because they are. It's a spoiler of an otherwise brilliant reveal. Let me just let me get back to this for a bit, because then I will answer some of the questions that I have skipped on. Okay, this is an interesting little thing here. Deakins is writing when he stops. That is really passive. It's really stepped back, and I'm going to see if I can find Deakins writing specials of the day. Chalkboard. Stops halfway through the word. Lavender. That's, see, now that's just a couple of words, but it makes it better. All right. Now this, I would like to get this into the scene, not in the stage directions. Not going to do that now, but I'm just, like I said, a lot of doing a rewrite is reading over it and saying, like, just smoothing little bits at a time, things that snag your eye or your mind. That this is too vague. I don't think we want to. What she's saying is get themselves into a hunt. No, I'm not a part of that. I don't think we want. No. I don't think we want. Whoa. I don't think I want to be a part of that. I don't think I want to be a part of that. He gave us a new reason. Okay, that's a waste of a line. Uh, and includes to hunt him with. That's nice. Look at that. Okay. Killer's going to realize he gave us a new reason to hunt him and new clues to hunt him with. Oh, you see, that's a good line. This is very important. When you are rewriting, look for the good things. Don't look for like, oh, that's bad. Like if you get a line that works, even just, a script is just a handful of lines. It's not that many lines. So if you get one good one, you are moving really far along the track. And honestly, you'll get more than you think. He knows he made a mistake. That's somebody else. Oh, maybe he was just... Maybe it's really just what he said. Just reaching out like a person. Maybe it's really just what he said. Maybe he was just reaching out like a person. Just a human being. As a human being. Yeah, well, that was a big one. Okay, let's see what's going on here. A story with one great line and a bunch of nonsense is better than a story with no bad content. I think I appreciate the thought. I'm not sure about that. A story with one great line and a bunch of nonsense is better with no bad content. Like just a mediocre down the middle of the road. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. But the main thing is, remember, you can one by one get the other lines to be better. I read something where it was on some screenwriting Instagram. They said, screenwriting, step 1, write a bad script. Step 2, fix it. That's it. That is the entire process. Yep, that is true. But we also don't worry about I mean, honestly, you just do the best you can. And what you want to do is just like, if there's even a couple of, like you just sort of get into the flow of it. You have some fun. Like I'm beginning to like this scene, which is a miracle because it was a mess. That line is a waste of time. This, I'm not sure where this goes. Yes, you were absolutely, and I appreciate it. Yes, exactly. And you just you like what you get. You work with what you get. You be who you are. Um, yeah, I don't need that other line. The one I just cut. What if we just walk away? Forget. Can't. Okay. All right. Here's the question. Um, the thing is, this is really good, but it's too late. It's too late for her to say this. We have to stop. You're not detective. All right, so now either we or you. So you are not detectives. You have to stop. You are not detectives. See, and this is the circular one. What if we tell him that we won't come back to after him? Uh, what if we just walk away? Um, See, this is where this scene is like it's got the good stuff, but it goes circularly. Um, how do you determine the line is a waste of time? Well, in this case, um, that it's because it's saying the same thing that another better line says. Um, one of the big problems I have here is that people are saying the same thing as each other, and sometimes that's cool because they're like supporting each other, but sometimes they're just saying the same thing. So one of the lines is a waste of time. Um, yes, that is true. That's a line, good line from Adeline. Yes, yes. Um, Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, that is actually that's a fine line. I like this. I think this is good. Like I can see somebody saying, this, "George is dead. He got that way by messing around with serial killers and cold cases. Did you not get the lesson here? You have to stop. You are not detectives." Um, as far as I'm concerned, that's good. I'm solid with that. Um, okay. Uh, yeah, let me run back because I got some questions here that. Okay. Do I have any thoughts about screenwriting competitions? I do. I have some, but they're not great thoughts because I am screenwriting competitions developed after I was a professional screenwriter. I just don't know that much about them. What I do know is that now and then there's a few. I know that Cinestory, obviously the Nickel. There's a couple of big ones that are, why not? Why not throw your hat in the ring? Always worth it. There's a thing called Cinestory. Where is it? Do I have it here? Don't think so. Okay. Okay, so these are the only two competitions I have had personal experience with. Um, that I know the people who are running them, and they are, at least as far as I can authentically say, I do not believe that these are just running a contest in order to make money. That they actually are trying to get good scripts out there in a system which is really hard to get good scripts out there. So therefore, I can recommend them in that sense, that I believe that they are authentically intended to support screenwriters in breaking through. Whether or not that works, whether blah blah blah, I can't say for sure. There's no way to guarantee that it will do it. The only thing I can recommend about them is that they are authentically being run by people who want good scripts to be supported and recognized. The blacklist is it is what it is. There's lots of information about it. Cinestory is a contest in which the prize, there is a financial prize, but the main prize is the ability to go to, they have retreats. They have like weekend get-togethers, retreats, writing retreats, where they get mentors, producers, writers, agents, all sorts of people, mainly writers and producers and executives, to come, and the mentors read the scripts before the weekend, and then they spend hour-and-a-half sessions working with each writer. Plus, there are classes. So it's if you can find a way to afford to go to it, because I don't believe they pay. I don't know the financial part of it. I've been a mentor at Cinestory several times, and I can tell you that you're getting access to a whole bunch of different voices of people who are in the profession. And so that's what you win when you win Cinestory, and that's a thing that I think is a good thing. As far as other competitions, I personally would vote for festival competitions or screenwriting competitions for screenwriting conferences, things where the point is screenwriting, but it's not just, we're going to get you, we're going to give our list of winners to agents or something. I have my doubts about the validity of those. I believe that Hollywood Reporter did kind of an investigative piece a couple of years ago on that. A lot of the screenwriting contest sites that just churn through, we're gonna upvote a bunch of things and they're gonna be the winners. I don't know that they are valuable. On the other hand, if you can afford it, sure, why not? There's nothing bad about getting some. I was a quarterfinalist in this. I was a quarterfinalist in that. That's all cool. Honestly, the most you're going to get from that is a certain credibility that if you were to ever meet an agent, that you could say, I did this and this and this. That honestly is not going to win them over. The only thing that wins them over is having somebody personally recommend your script to them, usually with money attached, to say this person is already working on a deal. Then agents are interested. Otherwise, agents don't care. I guess that my main feeling is the thing you want to do is to get, if there's a festival and you can actually go to the festival back, or when festivals become live events again, that's valuable because you meet other people. The main thing is you'll meet producers and directors who are looking for scripts. That's what you want. You don't want agents and managers, and you don't want people whose job is to have an avalanche of scripts coming at them. They hate scripts. What you want is directors and producers and actors, because they're the ones who want to make scripts. They're looking for oh, I like this and I can make this and I want to make it. Producers, directors, and actors, you want to get as much face time and get your script before them. And usually the best way to do that is put it into a contest so that you can meet them and talk to them and say, oh, my script is about a guy who lives in a baby carriage for 5 years. And you're like, oh, cool. I'm curious about that. That's my main thoughts about screenwriting competitions. So All right, so let's do a little bit on the most irritating thing about working with studios. Um, Irritating is a tricky thing. You know, who is the writer to be irritated? You should want the irritating thing, if you want to get down to it, is most people who read scripts have never made anything. They don't understand how scripts work. So they only understand the academic or business analysis of scripts, which is entirely different than the actual making and working with scripts. So most of them honestly don't understand how they work. That's the biggest annoyance that I had with people who read scripts, with working as a professional. If you're working as a professional, you're getting paid already. It's worth it. I mean, that's how I looked at it. It's like if somebody was paying me, most of the time I was like, okay, I am now a writer for hire. Just like if you were a wedding photographer and somebody said, oh, I really want you to take, the pictures all with this, background. It's like, all right, not my favorite background, but that's the one you want. Cool. I will make it look as good as I can. That's the job, being a professional writer. Working with the studios, honestly, at this point, first of all, you almost never work with the studios. There's almost no features being made. So you're going to be working with the independent producers who are trying to work with the studios. And the problem there is that all the layers of people who have opinions, which decide whether or not you get further along on the track of getting bought and made, all those people are judging based on something having very little to do with your script. They are judging based on this type of script is currently valued highly in the marketplace. And that depends on like whatever happens to be clicking on Netflix this week. And that really is changing week to week now, which is a mind-blowing problem because it used to be season to season or year to year. You had to figure out the trends, and now the trends are changing every week. It's just the turnover is way too fast for any creative process to catch up with. So all you could do is hope that the thing that you were doing for a year lucks into a slot of being cool. So my big problem with that, with the business, is it's a business. They're only looking for the business value. And the business value is this particular person who signs the checks, this executive or president or CEO of whatever company it is, they are looking for that. Whatever the top decision maker is, they tend to be looking for things that fit into slots, and they look for attachments. Oh, this big star, this big director, or this powerhouse production company likes this thing. Therefore, I like it. If Shonda Rhimes picks up your script and puts it through Shondaland, you become better, even if the script has not changed. It becomes more valuable, more interesting, more worth saying, yes, I will cross the line and make that. That's, I find, very irritating because you can write something really good and people can say, that's really good, but I can't make it. I found that very irritating when I was working as a professional. Fan fiction. That's really interesting. I would say, first of all, do use contact me and send this to me so I can remember it for I'm just going to take a little quick screen capture of that one. Let me think about fan fiction because that's in some ways isn't all fiction fan fiction. I mean, honestly, when I write something, I am running through my mind and saying, ooh, this is kind of like that other thing I like. I'm just going to disguise it. It's just disguised fan fiction. The most important thing about fan fiction or any fiction, as far as I'm concerned, is what you are bringing to it. I mean, in a sense, Shakespeare was fan fiction of like he was very often using borrowed stories. So the idea that the stories are essentially, there may be sections or twists or things that are original, but almost always there is a thing that we are modeling on, And that's what fan fiction is. The downside to actual fan fiction is you are using someone else's creation, and therefore you have no legal right to do so. So it becomes totally satisfying creatively in that sense. I don't find it totally satisfying because I want to make up my own people. But I have to say, when I was younger, when I was starting out, I would have been more into fan fiction. It just didn't exist at the time. But I think that fan fiction has a legal and creative dark side of borrowing. However, all art has a light side of a brilliant side of borrowing that I like. That's my main thing. Okay. Yes, that was absolutely right. I'm just catching up here. Okay. Yes, the nickel. It's 1L, I think. But I could be wrong about that. Can your screenplay be stolen? Not by a competition, and just in general. And I think this is going to be my last thing. But yes, copyright. Maria is right. Copyright your material if you are going to submit it to the public. Copyright it. It's a little expensive, but it's worth doing. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So about the stolen thing. Let me just. I'm going to. Gene, I am going to make that one and Ask Me Anything too. The Can Your Screenplay Be Stolen? The short answer is if you copyright it, not really. However, honestly, if somebody really wants to steal your story, what are they stealing? Are they stealing the basic idea of the story? Ideas cannot be copyrighted. If it's such a distinctive thing, a story twist or character that it never showed up in anything else, yes, you could make a case they stole that. However, and I will mention this another time, I read a book back in the 1970s. This guy wrote a book about Sherlock Holmes. He was like doing a deep dive into what happened when Sherlock Holmes died and then came back. But he said that he got into it because his job was, he was a lawyer who worked for the studios finding things that were like their stuff to defend in lawsuits. So that, like, what they would do is, like, if somebody had a story and somebody else said, you stole my story, he would go through literature and find other stories that were like it and say, look, we're all telling basically the same stories. They're all coming from the same basic myths or pre-copyright models. So he had this aspect of story hunting, which I thought was really cool, which the studios were using to defend themselves against claims that they had stolen things. But they were also pointing out that, honestly, there are not that many original things. There are original combinations, original versions. But if somebody actually steals your script, like they steal your words and they film your words, you can sue them. Okay. Yes, they look at it more from the business angle. That is right. And the business is a popularity contest. I did a video called Contest versus Library. I urge you to look at that. It's a big philosophical statement about the point of what we are doing. Fan fiction could be the beginning of a good or great script, except for the legal ownership. Yes, you have to. Maria is an expert in this topic because she has written whole fan fiction scripts for Star Wars, and she is absolutely right. Maria actually contacted Luke, was in contact with, because they wanted her to work for them on this kind of fan fiction. So they have a whole list of rules for what you can and can't do with your fan fiction. Kind of, although Baywatch, I don't know. I don't think it was the script. My live schedule is every day at 3 o'clock, pretty much. 3 o'clock Pacific time. I don't know where you are. Yes, exactly. Okay, I'm gonna, yes. Gene is a lawyer. Okay, that's Gene. Talk to Gene about copyright. Yes, copyright your scripts. Maria knows. I'm sorry. I'm just reading everyone's chat. It's fine. Okay. It's been an hour. People are watching this video and they're like, "Why am I watching Glenn read other people's?" Yeah, exactly. This is exactly right. We will get more into those topics on a future Ask Me Anythings. I will be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time to do more working on my script because that is how it gets done. You do a little bit of work every day, and the next thing you know, you got a whole script. In the meantime, go write something.